miss me, darling?
No, I just saw you like 5 minutes ago.
Today we're talking about Tears of a Sea Cow. So let's jump into this and go Team Venture. Arching for the Monarch isn't going well since his marriage. He just has too much hatred for Rusty.
Guy was lame. I can't go from Dr. Venture to that guy.
While the cat's away, and Brock, the Monarch decides to attack the compound.
The lasers all over the place! It's the second day!
Leaving only Hank, Dean and Dermot to defend it.
Oh, I freaking knew it. Why didn't the alarms go off? Because that's a UFO. They screw with electrical fields, dude.
It's always a good episode when we see the Monarch hamming it up on the screen for so long, and we get a lot of the boys.
We return to suckle the teat of hate that once nourished us like so much butterfly-themed Romulus and Remus.
I love their antics, and even Dermot has some funny moments in this one.
I couldn't run because I had a lighter up my ass.
Okay, now I believe you're Hank's friend.
The Monarch's new arch is Dr. Dugong, who ended up being one of the most important Venture characters.
Man seeks a good time, but he is not a hedonist. He seeks love. He just doesn't know where to look. He looks under the beds of whores and in the hot stem of a crack pipe, but he should look to nature. Gentle aquatic mammals have all the answers.
Public and Hammer have said that they fully fleshed out Dugong, giving him an origin story, personality, and of course they designed his lair to be a reference to The Spy Who Loved Me. He's an amazing, funny, lovable guy who definitely didn't deserve the fate he got.
You abandoned me! You abandoned my hatred!
I have cuddled this.
Look into my eyes!
Fortunately, Season 7 gives us a little bit more of him, and he just feels like someone who doesn't need an antagonist. He seems like a genuinely good scientist.
You alive?
Of course. I have so much starfish DNA in me that I regenerate limbs and grow my head back.
The intro is the classic protagonist versus antagonist. Speeches,
Well, if it isn't Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch, the Pupa twins, and
robots, henchmen.
Yeah, we got our own key.
Though 21 and 24 don't come with, much to their dismay,
You went arching? Without us?
Ow! Oh, we don't get to do anything!
instead we get the Moppets, who have now evolved into the Pupa twins,
Those mean little freaks moved in.
and are even grosser than they were before. We learn while the other henchmen have been playing guitar,
I have a cocoon parked in a tree that is full of guys that do nothing but play a video game that uses a little plastic baby guitar.
while the Moppets have been peeing in 21's room to assert dominance.
I have evidence that they pee in the corners of my room. They're marking my room!
The Monarch even offers 21 up as sacrifice to them.
Now, go ahead and kill him.
They're the foils to our henchmen. They lack kindness, loyalty, and these two fully grown adult men who just seem to act inappropriately towards Dr. Girlfriend, hugging her for too long,
I like hugging you in your new costume.
Okay, you two, time to stop.
or asking about her panties. Yeah, that's from this episode.
I just saw Mum's clean panties. Oh, when she was crouching, I tried not to look. Were they? They were white panties, Kevin. White. White.
They're criminals and bullies, though Jackson Public has said he wishes he could have explored them more, but they cut a lot of that stuff because it got weirdly sexual, so it's probably for the best. Also, I love how much the guild frowns on killing people.
The guild is very touchy with cold-blooded murder on day 1.
It's something higher level guild members get to do, but for a level 6 like the Monarch, it's just too much. And he is too competent for his level. We watch later on his rise to power. It's why he needs high level protagonists, or at least protagonists with the potential to be high level like Rusty. He keeps getting lame ones and he kills them. The Monarch is a really competent villain when he puts his mind to it.
Listen to a pro. Show him an evil laugh.
Gladly.
He has the ruthlessness of Red Death, the creativity of Dr. Z, but not the villain his wife needs him to be right now. And of course, being a creative writing kid,
You want to see eyebrows? Come to my creative writing class. There's this kid, no joke, they're out to here.
he is overly dramatic, threatening to quit the guild completely,
I'm gonna quit.
Yeah, quit. Mature.
making the henchmen think that Queen Butterfly are going to get a divorce.
Are you two gonna get a divorce?
The writers said they wanted to put him in a more comic book setting, wanting to remind us that the Monarch is a real villain, like back in Fallen Arches where he does horrible things to a prostitute. So he does an illegal arch, and while it kind of breaks Dr. Mrs. M's trust, she also goes behind his back multiple times, though she mostly does it to save him.
Did we do, Mum?
Just as I asked. My little moppets were perfect as always.
The Monarch gives us one of the best evil villain speeches the show has to offer.
I just wanted to kick his ass. I wanted to build a machine to kick his ass. I wanted to build an empire to house the machine to kick his ass.
And my God, let's go take a dump in his pool!
I think he's probably allowed to pull off this one. We get all of the classic tropes. Tunnel sequence.
I can't stop!
Classic old
Round bomb!
Oh, the black ones with the fuse? I love those.
bombs on a flying car.
What is this? Jitty bang bang? Who else knew we could do this?
And we almost get the answer to the big question of why the Monarch hates Dr. Venture.
Because he can't fake it. He would rather jeopardize his whole career than arch somebody else. That's why, because he's the real thing.
But it's not answered for another 14 years. Over the compound, this is the episode we see the start of Shallow Gravy. Helper is laying down some rocking tunes, backed by Hank's bass and the angry grunting or whatever Dermot does.
Shallow Gravy isn't just a band, it's best friends that made a movement.
And Hank gives us a brilliant reference to Eddie and the Cruisers because that's what he thinks a successful mega band is.
The next big thing since Eddie and the Cruisers!
Dermot gets a lot of screen time in this episode and is a lot more likable than in Buddy System.
Go blood sacrifice.
He even showed some of his Jim Carter and epic skills.
Sweet Jim Carter, handspring wheel kick.
You ready? Set.
Go!
First showing of Shallow Gravy was a real big deal for Doc Hammer. His first band was called Blue Plastic and they could barely play instruments. Everyone had their sort of teenage band where each one of your friends can play something, but none of you are any good, and it normally doesn't last very long because none of you can be bothered to practice together. Doc even had his own version of Helper called Dr. Rhythm. Even though Helper isn't really drumming, he is just stuck making some horrible alert noise. And I wonder if that's his radiation sensor with the experiments Doc's been doing recently, namely an atomic hoover.
So weren't you banned from that conference because you showed a vacuum cleaner that leaked the radiation?
That it immediately cleaned up because it was that good of a vacuum?
Helper's beat is from a Casio keyboard, one that Doc Hammer's had since his youth, which is probably why Dean wanted it turned off so much. We also learn what Jonas's secret password is to all of the Venture security systems.
Helper, disable all accessible audio functions. Access password, Rusty is a cowboy.
And presumably, Rusty's never figured out how to change it. The episode even has a musician on staff, Nick DeMeo, who animated all of Hank's fingers while he's playing the bass. Not only is it the premiere of Shallow Gravy, it's also the first time we see Venture Home News.
A troubled reader queries, I'm in love with my boss's wife, but because my boss is a known killer and private torturer, I'm afraid to say something.
Dean manages to get 13 whole readers. About the same for my channel.
My subscribers number well into the teens.
It's great. I love Venture Home News. We see it throughout the show and it has so many little details whenever it comes up. You can zoom in and find out all sorts of information. It's probably only the Ventures, Minor Stop, the Archers, and probably Billy Quizboy that reads this. Maybe the OSI is keeping tabs? And Dean is printing it old-fashioned style mimeograph and has a little cute outfit for it.
Rock band music.
Also, another super important character we meet in this episode who is so important throughout this show, Mr. Ricci.
It's okay, Mr. Ricci. Brock will be here soon and everything will be fine.
We also start to see 21's crush on Dr. Mrs. the Monarch growing.
That's a very pretty costume, Mrs. Monarch.
We first saw it in season 2. He is now writing into Venture Home News for advice from Dean Venture on how to tell a woman he loves her.
It's a slippery slope you ski, Mr. Viceroy. But yours truly, Deanie V, thinks it's best to march up to her and tell her how you feel.
The Monarch mocks him for this, and the obsession does eventually result in him stealing Dr. Mrs. M's dirty pants from the laundry. I guess eventually he comes clean to her after losing 24, but it's not a healthy relationship, that's for sure. At the end of the episode, we see the Monarch and the henchmen raiding the compound.
Get them!
Super runaway!
And I get a little reference to the silo still from the episode before. With all this set up, the Monarch's raid on the compound ends up weird and strange. Most of the things the Monarch does are weird and strange. He ends up having sex with a robot Rusty made in season 1 called Gardo.
What are you doing to her? Giving your robot chlamydia?
That has Rusty's face on the front of it.
Intruder! Intruder!
It's basically incest. It's kind of a Greek myth. Maybe it's just a complicated form of masturbation. Whatever it is problematic.
When my dad finds out about this, you're gonna be in big trouble.
In the art book, it talks about how this did not go over well with fans at the time, and I can't blame them. It sucks that Dean walked in with his one and only stuffed animal. But because of that, we do get another amazing Monarch speech, a Star Wars speech.
Good! Tell your father! That is the final step in your training.
What?
Mark on me and your training will be complete.
Which is not a Star Wars speech according to Doc Hammer.
You will have become completely evil. Join me, Dean! Tell your dad on me!
And blame his co-writer for breaking their no Star Wars rule for the season. Don't think it's true. This season is full of so many Star Wars references. Maybe some of them are unintentional, but I highly doubt it. You can check out my video of the Star Wars references in the Venture Bros somewhere else on this channel. I'll hopefully have a link here. 24, on the other hand, has set about apprehending Dermot, which is hilarious. I love it when we get these two little side characters combining.
Hank's friend.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Would you believe I'm Brock Sampson's long-lost son?
Like, what's your favourite example of that throughout the show? There's just so many brilliant ones. Dermot thinks 24 is an alien.
Hi, alien!
I'm not an alien, Dillweed. I'm a henchman. And you're not a Venture brother. Who the hell are you?
And is somehow easily overpowered by one of the scrawniest human beings in the Monarch forces. Hermit even tries to convince 24 that he's Brock Sampson's son. And once that fails, he tells 24 the truth, that he has a lighter up his arse and therefore can't run fast.
I couldn't run because I had a lighter up my ass.
Okay, now I believe you're Hank's friend.
We also see Dr. Girlfriend taking control of the cocoon for the first time.
Here we go.
All hands, this is your Queen Butterfly. Man your stations. Engine room, prepare for flight.
Navigators to their controls. Double time!
Sets them out of coming to the compound to sort the Monarch out. At the same time, after a very long chase,
Truce, yes! I'm dying!
Right.
21 sets up the reveal to Hank and Dean that they are clones.
You can't be killed. I shit you not. You are an immortal. Like the Highlander?
It never clicked in season 2. They just accepted the clones were their Christmas present because that's what their dad told them.
This was going to be your Christmas present. Huh? A whole big army of yous ready to think you're the coolest and do your chores.
21 tells Hank he's seen him die and that he is an immortal like the Highlander.
I have personally seen you die twice. Seriously. Like shotgun to the face.
So someone's at least started to figure out what's going on. 21 knows he's a main character. He says so.
Believe we didn't get blown up. Dude, we're like those guys on TV that never get shot. Yeah, we're like main characters.
The rest of the henchmen are red shirts. Hammer and Public have spoken about how everybody thinks they're the main character, but as we see throughout this season, especially in Lepidoctorus, 21 and 24 are the main characters and know they're the main characters. They're basically immortal. I've got to imagine that, like us, Billy Quizboy just wants there to be a show about any of his friends. I'll take it. I'll take a show about any of these characters. Please, please come back. 21 somehow doesn't know that the dart gun shoots tranq.
Use the rifle.
Soy, those shoot tranquilizers.
And he thinks he's killed Hank when he shot him in the chest.
Kinda. Oh, I hate killing you, dude.
But 21 doesn't know their suit has wings, or inflatables, or night vision.
When do we get these?
Like 1994?
Why don't I know this stuff?
So while the episode itself might be a little bit meta, it's bloody brilliant. I love episodes focused on the boys. I love episodes focused on the Monarch. It's an amazing one for me. It gives us a lot of setup for the next episode as we see the cocoon in the after credits scene coming up across the water towards Spider Skull Island, the residence of JJ.
On a trial basis.
Hey, fine. Can I open my eyes yet?
Oh, the scary big brown flying poo-poo.
What are they going to do about the great big flying poo-poo? So I will catch you next time, and go Team Venture!